recently did write a scholarly journal piece about how to solve the problem of studying who is a drug user and the way that people were trying to get a sample, an accurate sample, you were arguing in the past had been faulty, and you kind of proposed, or you agreed with something called respondent-driven sampling, and I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about that and why the article caused some controversy.
When you're trying to do a scientific study of a group and you don't know everybody who's in that group, you can't find out what the total population is. It poses problems, right? Because you can't take a sample and then generalize and say, well, you know, statistically speaking, they're representative of this universe, what's called the universe. That's all the people, you know, all the taxpayers or all the people who hold union cards. Dope fiends don't hold union cards. You don't register somewhere and say, I shoot dope. Sign me up, you know, put me on your mailing list. Okay.
But you've advocated that.
I have advocated. I'm actually trying to start a drug users union and have been for a couple of years with a safer injection facility in Chicago. I don't know. We'll see if it happens before I die. But anyway, the idea, so these are called hidden populations, but you need to access them if you're going to learn anything from a public health perspective about how these diseases actually get transmitted and how we can prevent them. So they invented this thing called respondent-driven sampling, and it's called a dual incentive chain referral method. That simply means that I'm going to interview you, and I can pick you out of anywhere as long as I know that you're a dope fiend. So
she is.
You shoot dope. Oh, good. This is convenient. You got anything on you? You holding? So I'm going to pick you. I'm going to interview you. I'm going to pay you $20. I'm going to give you 3 non-duplicable coupons, and you're going to hand those to 3 friends who shoot dope as well. So you, and you. You're all going to come in at different points, and I'm going to interview you. And when they're all done, they've redeemed their coupons. You get a finder's fee. So
it's a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah, right. That's exactly what it is. Mathematically speaking, you reach an equilibrium at a certain point, and when you reach that mathematical equilibrium, there's an algorithm that tells us generally there's a high probability that you now have a representative sample, even though you don't know what the universe is. So I know it's really dead boring, but
no, it's not. But where's the controversy?
The controversy is this: none of you have any money, and you live on 4-hour increments. And so you can imagine what might happen, right? Every interaction in your daily life is a potential hustle, right? So you're going to get these 3 coupons, but you're not just going to hand them out. You want some shit back, right? So you might sell the coupons because you know that once she gets, because what's going to happen? I forgot this part. So when I interview the person that came in that you referred to me, I'm going to pay her, and I'm going to give her 3 coupons. And so these coupons branch out like trees. That's the idea. Then you map out their networks and so on. But, so you know she stands to make, you know, if it's $10 referral fee per, that's $50. You're going to get a front kick from her of 10. So you're going to, you know, do this sort of thing. And so there's this hustle. Or if you run a shooting gallery, and you've got these 9 people living in your building, and you're basically selling your drugs to them. They're kind of a captive audience. You're going to collect all of their coupons. And you're going to be the one handing them out to people they don't even know. Now that's a problem because one of the main assumptions of this mathematical method is you're going to hand them to your closest friends. Well, that's not happening. There's a market. So essentially this method creates a marketplace. And then, you know, people get upset with each other. I observed several instances of physical violence.
So in the end, where do you come down on the program?
Getting into a hidden population, I think it's probably the best available method because nothing speaks louder than money on the streets, and it makes perfectly good sense. It's the American way, and this shit that we see in these films. This is America.
Right.
This is that you strip America down to its core skeleton, and this is what you got. They're operating on basic principles of capitalism, and that's what they're doing.
Well, one thing I wanted to ask you about a statement you've often made, and that's that when somebody ODs, that's good for the dealer. Can you explain why that is?
Yeah, one of the unfounded myths of surrounding heroin addiction is that, you know, every addict gets high when he or she shoots up. You know, the classic, what they call a dope fiend lean or an elephant dance. You know, you're sort of over like this. When in fact, when you have a physiological chemical dependence on an opiate, you are only getting well, what they call getting normal. So each dose that you administer to yourself is only allowing you to function normally, body and mind. And you're also, especially, you know, if you're living on the street, this is what we're talking about now, street level heroin markets, and people who are living, you know, precariously housed, maybe they're not housed at all, maybe they're living 10 people to a building or an apartment, whatever. They'll come across a good bag of dope, or their buddy will come across a strong bag of dope. They'll OD. And it's logical. It makes sense. They look at this person and they say, wow, you know, when I shoot up 5-6 times a day, I just feel normal. I can function. I can talk. I can go about my daily business. I can think straight. That's the addict after a shot of heroin. Okay? So now it's sort of like there's a blue light special, right? How many of you would, you know, have ever bought something because it was on sale? Yeah, okay, you don't even need to raise your hands. It's a stupid question. That's what we're talking about. More bang. You know, it's every bag of drugs in Chicago starts they're in $10 increments. So the starting point usually is a Sawbuck or $10. So you get a Sawbuck blow for $10, and it gives you the bang of 2 blows. It makes perfectly good sense. Now, how many of you have, you know, maybe done something that's not so good for your mind or your body? Someone else has done it to excess, and you say, well, you know what, I can handle myself better than that. I'm not going to stay in that bad relationship as long as that person did. I'm not going to, you know, I can handle my liquor, so on and so forth. So they discount any sort of personal harm that may occur in the future. So they discount the probability that they're going to suffer this OD that this person just suffered. So you bring those two things together, and it makes perfectly good sense.
Sure.
That's what happens. Dude ODs, where'd he get his shit? That's the first question. And in 3 days, and I've gone through the ledgers of 5 different street gangs, and the average increase in profits for that this is profit, not revenue.
They keep books?
They keep books. Okay. Yeah, they actually do keep books. Sometimes really well organized. More than I'm organized. But my wife is very organized, so that's good. Keeps track of our crack sales. But the average increase...
You do have tenure, right?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
You seem to have moved a little bit away from studying gangs, but that's something that you did earlier in your career.
True.
You don't like the term gang-related crime.
I don't.
Why?
Because law enforcement agencies apply it far too liberally, and they typically apply it when they're seeking funding from the federal government, say, for gang suppression tactics. Do not trust any law enforcement agency when they come out and publicly state what the gang problem is. They don't know what the gang problem consists of. They use this term gang-related crime to try to quantify how much damage is done from gang members. The first problem with the term is that it assumes that if a kid happens to have a suspected gang affiliation, which is part of that definition of gang-related, throws a rock through a window, that's a gang-related crime. Did the gang motivate that rock throwing? It's illogical. It makes no sense. The other thing is that it's a very broad definition. Again, it allows for too much discretion and judgment. So if I, as an officer, think you might be involved in a gang and you've committed a crime, I can count it officially and statistically as a gang-related crime. That's idiotic. It's not precise. It's bad for public policy. Last, gang-related means that if the victim, the offender, or any bystander or witness has a suspected gang affiliation, it's a gang-related crime.
Okay.
It's absurd. And yet we just keep pouring our money into law enforcement agencies to solve our gang problem when they can't even describe it.